Good morning. Today we want to talk about what you want to do when you practice. When you're out on the range, what do you want to practice? What are the things that you really need to know? There are basically four things. You want to know how to reload, clear a jam, brandish your weapon, and how to shoot. So that's the four topics we're going to talk about today. There are a couple of ways of reloading a gun. There's speed and tactical reload. Speed is when you reload your gun after it runs out of ammunition. Tactical reload is when you reload your gun even though the magazine is not fully depleted. So first we want to do the speed reload, then we'll do the tactical reload. A couple of things, I wear cargo pants and I have an extra magazine in one of the pockets of the cargo pants. One of the things you want to make sure of is that it is easily accessible. In other words, some of these cargo pants are much longer. The pockets are much longer than the magazine itself. So what I do is I stuff a little handkerchief or something down there so that the magazine comes to the top of it and I can easily grab it. The way you want to put it in your pouch or in your pocket is the bullets. The tip of the bullet should be facing forward so that when you pull it out, you're holding it like this. You're holding it like this. Now you're able to, with your support hand, now you're able to shove it into the gun without looking at the gun. So that's something that you want to practice, is you want to maintain focus on your target and reload the gun without looking what you're reloading. And you want to make sure that it goes in smoothly and sits well. So let's do that first. I'm going to shoot a few rounds, knock out the magazine, and then reload another one to demonstrate. Tap it and rack. Normally the slide would stay open when you're exchanging magazine. This time around I just shot a few rounds. The slide didn't stay open. So let me take up the other magazine here. It's partially depleted. I'm going to put that in the pocket and I'm going to do a tactical reload in a little while. So again, I'm going to shoot a few rounds. Now I'm going to do a tactical reload. How do you do that? You pull your magazine out of the pouch, like so. Then you take your little finger, you grab the magazine that's in there, shove the new magazine in, and snap it in. The other magazine you can put back in the pouch, and then you want to rack. Actually, in a tactical reload, you don't need to rack because there's a bullet already in the chamber. So that extra reload was not necessary. Let me do that again, okay? So I'm going to shoot a round. Now I'm going to do a tactical reload. Pull out the magazine. Use my little finger to pull the other one out. Snap it in. Put this one back in the pouch. And you're ready to shoot. A tactical reload reload basically replenishes the bullets that you've depleted, and you now have a full magazine. You only want to do that when there's an opportunity to do it. Normally you want to shoot out the magazine, but if there's a lull of some sort and you have a chance to reload and replenish the magazine, that's what you want to do. So let's try that one more time. I'm going to shoot. Now there's a lull. I grab my magazine here, use my little finger, pull the other one out, shove it in, tap it. Put this one in the pouch. Now this one that I have in there is almost depleted, so let's shoot out the rest of the bullets and then do a speed reload. Alright, hopefully that all made sense. Now let's go to clearing a jam. There are a couple of ways that jam could develop. One is you simply have a misfire. The misfire comes from a bullet not working. It happens sometimes, very rarely, but it happens. The other reason for having a jam is when there's a double feed. A double feed often occurs when you have a weak wrist or a weak arm, and you allow the gun to cycle, not holding the arm steady, but having a weak arm. And what happens is that the energy of the slide is absorbed in the arm or the wrist, and the slide does not cycle properly. If it doesn't cycle properly, the empty shell may not be ejected completely, and a new shell tries to go in. That's what's called a double feed, and the gun will jam. So when you have a misfire, what do? If you pull the trigger, and let's demonstrate how that could happen, okay? One way that can happen is if the magazine is partially ejected. That is not uncommon to occur. It is not uncommon to occur whether you pull the magazine from your holster or you pick it up somewhere, you accidentally push the eject button, the magazine comes out a smidgen, unbeknownst to you, accidentally. If that happens, let's see what happens here. You shoot your shot that's in the chamber, but when you try to shoot again, nothing happens. The reason is that the magazine was out, the next bullet did not go into the chamber, even though the empty cartridge ejected. How do you handle that jam or that misfire? Simple. You tap, roll, rack. Now when you rack, you pull the slide back and you let it snap forward. Make sure that your finger is not on the trigger at any time. So how do you do it? You tap the magazine in, make sure it's seated properly, you roll the gun over, and you rack. Ready to go again. Bang. Alright. If you have a double feed, often the slide is partially open. Sometimes demonstrate here. is a stovepipe. Looks like this. Let me get another magazine here. The other one is empty. Okay, got another magazine in. It might look like something like this. That's a double feed, and obviously the gun is not going to operate here. How do you handle that? What you do, the first thing you do is you lock the slide. So you move the slide back and you use the slide lock to lock the slide, like so. In this case, the stovepipe came out. Next thing you do, but you don't know that, and you don't want to be looking at this thing. You want to keep your eyes on the target. Next thing you do is you pop the magazine out. Pop the magazine out. And you may want to slide again a couple of times while the gun is on its side rolled over. Then you slap in the magazine, roll it, rack it. The bullet should be in there. How do you know if a bullet is in there? You can check it. One of the ways to check it is with your pinky. You take the slide, move it back slightly, and you try to feel. For the cartridge that's in there, and I can feel it. I use my pinky. Again, you can do that without looking at the gun. You want to keep your eyes on the target. All right? It fired. Everything is good. You can now reholster. The way I reholster is, in this particular gun, the P365 6-hour, I put my finger behind the trigger. Nothing can accidentally cause the trigger to fire now. I lift up my garment, put the gun in my holster, and snap it in place. The reason you put the finger behind the trigger is to avoid any of the clothing accidentally firing the gun. You know, getting stuck in the trigger well and firing the gun. Again, you need to be able to do that without looking at anything other than the target. This all needs to be done by feel. So we talked about reloading, clearing jams. Let's talk about brandishing the weapon. There are basically two ways of brandishing the weapon. One is you have it what's called from retention. The other one is where you bring it out and it's called extension, by extension. If you have your gun in a holster, like I do, you want to use both hands to pull the garment as high as possible. And then, when you do that, you pull it up, take your strong arm or your dominant hand, you pull the gun out and pivot it while it is like this, while it's in your armpit position. You could, in theory, start shooting at this point, but then you want to bring it out, take the non-dominant hand, support hand, wrap it around, put your thumbs the way they are supposed to go, and fire. Like so. Let me try to demonstrate that a little bit faster. Put it back. All right. I'm going to pull up both garments. Use both hands to pull up the garment. And in theory, as soon as you pivot the arm, you don't want to swing the arm forward with the gun. You want to bring it up like so and pivot, and in theory I could start shooting while it is in retention like that. Alright, let me try that. There you go. Shooting from retention, if the assailant is only a foot or two away from you, a couple of feet away from you, shooting from retention also involves control of your arms. Again, you pull it from your holster, and I normally pivot the gun a little bit, keep this arm close to my chest so I don't go in front of the muzzle, and fire. 2 rounds, boom boom. I can then bring it forward if I want to. If the assailant is close to you and you bring your gun out right away, he can take it away from you. And I'll show you how that can be done fairly easily. So let's do a double tap and see how that works. I think I might be low on bullets in that. I have you develop a feel as to how many bullets you have in your magazine after a while, and I suspect I only have about 1 or 2 left. So if that's the case, I'll do a reload and try it again. All right, let's give it a shot here. This would be shooting from retention. Alright, hope that made sense. That's brandishing your weapon, shooting from retention. If you